Hey, I'm Dolphin, a freelance motion designer, and today I want to show you how I built a ChatGPT loader style animation in Rive. Let's jump to the table and let's see. So here we are in Rive, and let's see what I've built. When you enter the view model, you can reset the title like that. You see it had a transition when reset. It also has a minimum width to just not shrink too much. And then you can also reset the detail description, which will then produce a different animation, more like generating the details like typing on a keyboard. So like that. And then now comes the fun part. Because I've set up the animated icons, you can also change if it's thinking or it's searching. So we have a fully data-binded animation that you can link to your interface, and it can communicate the title, the details, and also set up which icon will animate. These icons are looping forever, and also this thinking line is just going back and forth constantly. Okay, let's see how this is set up. At first, I tried an approach where I wanted to test if I can data bind the width of the text layer. So this text layer, I wanted to data bind this width. But right now, with dynamic layout, Rive doesn't let you do that. So if I would data bind this to a number property, it would not provide this number, which is here in gray. So that didn't really work. I've set it up to work, so right now it's looping a shape, an ellipse, which is feathered. To get this effect, you could also I could also clip that into the rectangle to look it better. And the distance which it travels would be linked to the width of the text, but I couldn't do that. So right now when I play this, it's just basically linked to that property. So if I change it to 100, it would just do a little road. If I do 400, it would just travel further. How this is done is basically I have a transition animation which is setting a property group with a number between 0 and 1, so it would multiply this width from 0 to 1 to make this ellipse travel. It would, before this multiplication, also take into account the 0 position of the text, which is also data binded. So here you can see that we have a start X, which is the start X position of the animation, when we have text X, which is like the width of the text. And then we have this data binded addition and the multiplication with 0 to 1 set up with a group. So basically it would add the width to the start X position and multiply it so that it moves. So this was my first approach. Then I came up with this new approach, which involves setting up text modifiers. So you set up a text modifier with an opacity animation, and I needed to set them up in 4 copies to just be able to loop back and forth this white spot in the middle, because I tried to subtract or just change the way that it disappears, but I just couldn't set it up properly, so I came up with this idea. This is the first approach, where when you change, when you change the title, it would just jump cut to it, so there's no transition. Because the transition that we get here under converters and then interpolator, it doesn't interpolate between text, it interpolates between numbers. So animating something like that with live data is not possible with interpolator right now. So to be able to have an animation when input changes, I came up with an idea where I've set up, I've set up 2 title assets. So these are 2 exact copies of the same prompt, but A and B. Then I would have these events linked to them. And then in data, I would have these A-B prompts, like title 1 and 2, and I would have a main title. And what happens is that when you write to the main title data-binded field, it would, from one title to the other, appearing and disappearing. So in these timelines, I have one of the A-B titles set to disappear and the other to reappear. And also we have a slide animation with opacity and stuff like that, so that it looks smooth. So what happens when you animate is, we can demo that out, is that when I change, it would go to prompt 2 and set the title B to the main title that I gave here. And when I change again, it would reiterate to title 1 and rechange to this main title, so that there is this small trick to be able to do a transition. We don't have this trick with the details because the details are just transitioning in a snap. So I thought we don't need that there. Yeah, when you have a lot more text than that, it would write with a smoother transition, but I wanted it to think fast. So yeah. Okay, the icons are set up in a way that we have an enum with the thing and web properties given, and then I hooked up the enum property to the view model and set it up to animate between thing or web timelines when you set up thing or web enums in your view model's data. And what else we have? We have these loops, which are the text modifiers going with the offset. So if I would turn off one of the two copies and turn off 3 out of the 4, you see what is happening. So we are just transitioning a text that has fall off and range settings. And then we are transitioning another copy of that to just where it ends. And then other 2 at the beginning and the ending to have it seamlessly loop, because then it wouldn't, because of the fact that at the start or the end is also it has this fall off, so it doesn't end with 100% opacity. Yeah, what else do we have? So yeah, I just discovered that the detail animation was not set up right. So let's just set this up right. When we are not self, so that it changes, we want the animation to happen. And then we have a detail right out timeline that is set up properly. So we don't need a duration for these. And now let's see what happens. Yeah, let's also turn on the second instance. Yeah. So let's go to data. Let's change the details. And yeah, now it works. Because before it wasn't working like that, because the second instance wouldn't return to the first, and then it would just jump cut, which is not what we want. Thank you for watching. I'm pretty new to producing videos, so I hope you liked it. See you next time.